Good morning. It's Wednesday, on the way to work again, and I am going to stick with the Traditions series, but I'm going to go a bit out of order. I'm going to change things up a bit, and we've covered the Akashic Brotherhood. I'm going to go ahead and jump way ahead to the back of the alphabet, because I really want to talk about my favorite convention. See, I'm still in technocracy mode. My favorite tradition. Big difference. I want to talk about the virtual adepts. Now, the virtual adepts have gone through some major changes, depending on what version of the game you're playing. In the early versions of the game, the virtual adepts were kind of the new kids, kind of young, kind of stupid, making rash decisions, and they were basically just a bunch of punk hackers with magic. The whole hack the machine mentality turned into reality. There was this whole thing about them being started out in the conventions, but then leaving the conventions and joining the traditions. And to be honest, to most people, they were a bit of a joke. I mean, they were a cool idea, but really they were just not very nuanced. And then Revised came out, and the truth came out, and it turned them completely on the head. And it really made them something special. You see, it came out that the virtual adepts had actually been deeply rooted in the original Order of Reason. They were a lot older than anyone thought, than anyone realized. And they were a lot more powerful than anyone realized, too. Why was it? Well, it was the technocracy's fault. When the virtual adepts left the technocracy, they were infected by something called the T virus, the Turing virus. Now, everyone knows who Turing is. If you don't, well, there's something wrong with you. But basically, the technocracy infected them all with a memo virus that destroyed their minds. It stole a lot of the most advanced hypertech knowledge from them. It took it away from them. It also stole their history from them. When the VAs left, everything that made them who they were was stolen from them by the technocracy. And it wasn't just a one-time thing either. It actually continually erased knowledge so that they could not even relearn those things. It was a pretty nasty piece of work. And it took one mage trying to study something and realizing continually that he was losing time every time he reached a certain subject, and eventually taking steps to record himself, document himself, etc., before he finally realized what was going on and began to try to find a way around it. Now, eventually, they did find a way around it, and the virtual adepts have now been purged of the T-virus. This means that now they've regained their history. Now, this is both good and bad. It's good because they've realized that they're not some new kids stumbling around not knowing what they're doing. They've been around a while. They've realized that they've got a lot more grounding than they thought they had. It's also, however, made them realize that they were actually one of the key building blocks of the Order of Reason becoming the Technocracy. They actually were one of the ones leading all of that. So regaining their memory has come with both a lot of benefits and a lot of regrets, which makes them a much more nuanced group. Basically, they believe that all of reality is code, and that if we can change the code, we can change reality. Their in-game strategy is what they call Reality 2.0. They're building a virtual world in the web to beta test a new world. And when it's ready, they want to upload the new world into the old world and basically awaken everyone. Give everyone agency over their own reality. Now, I think they have one of the most far out there visions, because it's something that normal minds fail to grasp properly. They talk about everyone having agency, and at first that just sounds like chaos. But then when they actually go into it, they're not talking about chaos. They are talking about true personal agency. Now, the difference there is that it means that everyone's reality becomes subjective. I'm looking at a field and I see horses. Well, you don't really like horses. You like unicorns. So when you look at that same field, you see unicorns. Now, are they horses or are they unicorns? Well, to me, they're horses. To you, they're unicorns. A third person walks by and says, well, what's out in the field? I say horses, you say unicorns. He looks out and makes his own decision on what is in the field. And all of these things exist within their own personal layers. They're all just as real as the other. None of them are illusions. None of them are fake. They're all real to the person who is subjectively viewing them as real. It's a mad concept, but it would create a perfect world. You know? Someone wants to go off and become a mass murderer and just slaughter hundreds of people. They'd succeed. They'd be able to go out and slaughter hundreds of people. But the hundreds of people that they slaughtered would not be actual people. They would be reality echoes of people. They would be put there by reality for him to kill because he wanted to kill them. But unless someone actually, in their own subjective reality, wanted to be killed, they would not be in that group. It's crazy to wrap your mind around. But it would be amazing. It would be like playing an MMO where everyone can install their own different mod packs and view everything differently while still interacting with the same game. And with generated NPCs that you can interact with whenever you want to as well. There you go. I mean, they are gamers as well as hackers, so I mean that imagery probably makes a lot of sense. So that is who the virtual adepts are. What do they do? Well, their primary sphere is correspondence, or as the technocracy calls it, and as the VAs often call it, the data sphere. It actually plays into their worldview of reality, with data itself being the core of reality, and then wrapped around the data kind of this superstructure of knowledge, and then reality itself, what they're trying to replace, layered over that superstructure. In the Virtual Adepts Tradition book, it gets described as a baseball. So you've got the core, you've got the inner string, you've got the leather cover. That's how they describe reality, is in those layers. Yeah, I think I'll go ahead and end it there today. Virtual Adepts are a very cool group with some amazing history that are well worth a look, especially if you're into computers. A lot of their stuff focuses through computers, phones, anything that has an operating system, anything that they can use to access the code. If you want to, think Matrix. Downloading skills into themselves, seeing the code of things, altering the code. Yeah, I mean, as much as I hate to admit to it, Neo would probably be a virtual adept. Alright, like, subscribe, I'll be back tomorrow, and hopefully you will too.